Mark Wood put in a man-of-the-match performance at Headingley. His thunderbolts brought him 7 wickets, bowling in the first innings, peaking at nearly 97 miles an hour. He hit an average speed not seen in this country since Brett Lee visited in the 2005 Ashes. And I'm pleased to say Mark Wood joins us this morning. Morning to you, Mark. How are you?
Morning, Mark.
Good morning. How are you?
Very, very well. When we talk about the ridiculous speed at which you bowl, how's the arm?
It's all right, actually. I'm covering grazes from falling on the deck all the time, which I'm sick of falling over every time I bowl, but probably tells you that I'm giving it everything I've got and hurtling everything towards the batsman. But yeah, covering cuts and grazes, resting up, getting ready for the next one.
Mark, I mean, you're bowling that fast and you're steaming in. How do you prevent your front knee, ankle, and your toes? How do you prevent them getting hurt?
Well, you can't really. You just have to, strap it up. I'm sure with the football and stuff, you were the same. Strap my ankle before every game. I've obviously had operations there and trouble there, but I think it's something like 7.5 times my body weight goes through my front leg. So that's a lot of, strain. But, when you're playing for England in the Ashes against your fierce rivals, you give it everything you've got. So strap my ankle up daily, wear actually a knee pad on my knee more for when I fall over than for my actual bowling action. But yeah, just give it everything you've got and let the toil. Hopefully you can stay injury free whilst you're in the game.
Well, I cringe when I see the replay. When they slow it down, they show you to see if it's a no ball or whatever. And your knee, the force going through your knee. I mean, at the speed you're bowling. Yeah. But do you think you can get quicker?
I do. I mean, it's not like you say, it's not a natural position, is it, to put the human body in? But the fact that I can sort of generate that pace from there's different things, keeping that leg nice and braced, and then letting everything fly through a bit like a catapult, like a slingshot. Everything comes through at the last minute. I do think that I could probably consistently get quicker, not like sort of my average speed, not necessarily my top speed. I'm trying to, best my mate Harmy, who, he is the best speed in England. So trying to get above him, but it's a tough ask. I'm giving it everything I've got, and I still can't quite get there. But I think consistently over like an average spell, I think I can get that up for sure.
Don't get me wrong, you're doing all right as it is.
Yeah.
You're doing well. I mean, you've had a great game there. You deserved the man of the match. And I mean, at the end of the game there when you were batting.
Yeah.
I mean, talk us through that little spell you had with Chris Woakes.
Yeah.
Well, I've watched it back about 10 times, to be honest, so I know exactly what happens every ball. I think when I managed to get the 6 into fine leg area, and the crowd went wild there, it was the first time I took it in. I was nervous in the dressing room, the clammy hands, the panic. I think my heart rate's just about come down now, but when I got there with Woakes, he was great with me, to be honest. He supported me a lot in the middle, tried to keep me calm and clear really on the next ball, back what you're going to do, make sure you're thinking about the wider one of the ball a little bit wider. And if I try and sort of hook it from wide, then there's more chance of the ball, top edging and getting caught. So I was just waiting for that one ball where I felt I could, get it for 4 or 6. And luckily, I got a decent piece of it, and it went for 6 to fine leg. For that probably 10 seconds of taking in the crowd, it was a big cheer, and
at what point did you think we're going to do this? How many to get?
I think that was maybe about 11 to get, and I managed to hit a 4 through the cover, so left about 7. And that was the first time I saw a couple of Australian lads' heads drop and felt like, this is we're close now. We're one big shot away really from the game being over. I was at that moment, I was actually thinking of Brodie behind us. He was the next man in, Stuart Broad, and trying to think of, right, if I was in that situation, I would hate anybody to get out. So I was trying to finish the game, me and Woakesy, and not let anybody who was obviously nervous upstairs. It was much easier being in the middle. I know you're facing class bowlers, but it was much easier being in the middle because you felt like you were in sort of control. Whereas when you're in the dressing room, there's loads of things flying through your head. What ifs, don't mess it up. Come on. But when you're in the middle, you're just solely focused on the ball and what you're trying to do, really.
So is that also the same when you're not on strike? Are you constantly watching, obviously, as it was with Chris Woakes, you're just watching him and thinking, just hit this right, hit this right?
yeah, pleading with him, Wooksy, please just don't get out. But no, I think because we were constantly talking, it sort of made it easier. I think he was sort of like, when I got in there, he'd faced quite a few balls, so he knew his game plan. He knew what he's trying to do. I think he was just trying to literally take risk-free options and try and get the ball just for one. And then if they bowled a bad ball, that's like if they went for the stumps, that's when he felt he could hit the four. So he had his game plan. Mine was slightly different, where I was trying to hit everything for 4 or 6 and get it over with as quick as I could. But great to be out there with him. I'm big friends with Wooksy, so a lovely moment. That's the first time for England I've won the game with the bat. I've been out there a couple of times when I've been the last man out and you have to shake hands when you're disappointed. So to be there at the end when we've actually won was a special feeling.
Well, I was also going to ask you, because you mentioned it there, he's a really good friend of yours, Chris Woakes. It must have been very special for you two, just to be out there together to steer England to victory.
Yep, we car shared all week. We parked in the same spot. We promised that there'll be runs and wickets in that spot. So, I mean, it's a long walk from Leeds to Manchester, but we still might have to park there again if we get a game. So, no, great that I was out there with him. He came back in the team just like I did together. We were both chomping at the bit. So, I was really delighted for him, especially that, you know, he could be there at the end and hit the winning runs because he had such a great game.
Mark, we've seen Jimmy Anderson say Ben Stokes is the best captain he's ever played under. Do you agree with him?
He's pretty good. Like, to be honest, the way just he speaks, and you know, I've known Ben for a long time, since we were probably 15, 16 at Durham together, and he's grown up so much. I mean, the way he speaks now, I didn't think he had those type of words in him. He's so articulate and stuff now. I thought the kid that Ben Stokes, I didn't think he had that in him, but the way he, like, commands respect on the field, the way that he leads by example. You know, he's right up there.
And I was going to ask you about, there's been a lot in the press and the media about how friendly these tests have been. Perhaps that England needed a bit more bite. But what's it been like with Australia, and how, as Dean's phone rings there, very unprofessional, Mark, I do apologise. But what has that been like between the two camps? Is it all friendly, or are we finding this starting to turn and we're getting a bit of needle now?
I think there's been some incidents in the series, hasn't there, that have spiced it up a little bit. Yeah. I think Australia, in general, you always want to beat your rivals. I think the franchise cricket sort of circles have allowed people to get to know each other and things like that. So I think, you know, there is that respect, 100%, you know, respect Australia massively. They're a fantastic team with fantastic players. But when you're out there, we're desperate to win for England. These are must-win games now, where, you know, there's no slip-ups allowed. So we'll be doing everything we can to try and beat them, just as they do with us. So as much as, you know, maybe off the field, you know, lads can speak and say hello and stuff, but on the field, everyone's desperate to win and do their country proud.
Mark, what about, obviously it's 2-1, we're going into Old Trafford. What about the pitch at Old Trafford? Is that going to play a big part in the outcome?
I thought the pitch at Henley was fantastic. You know, it offered something for everybody. You know, there was plenty of bounce and a little bit of seam, but if you got in, we saw that Mitch Marsh for Australia played really well. Harry Brook and Ben Stokes for us played really well. So there was runs in that wicket. And I think Old Trafford is a notoriously or one of the faster pitches in England, and could offer something like reverse swing there in the game, because it can often be a bit abrasive there. So I'm sure Moeen Ali with his spin is looking at that as well. I think it's a good cricket wicket all round. It offers everything for every bit of play. So again, all 3 games have been really tight. So I would expect this one to be exactly the same. We're carrying a bit of momentum, I feel, after this win. And so can we carry that forward on what will be a good wicket at Old Trafford?
Can you actually carry momentum when you've got quite a break in between?
No, I think so. I definitely think so. I mean, the feeling after the game was, you know, everyone was happy, but I don't think everybody was like, oh, this is the be all and end all, this is the end game, we've done it, we've managed to win that one game. It was a sense of, right, we were pleased, but focused on the job ahead. So I definitely think having that sort of feeling and that momentum of, right, this is not finished, we've won one, you know, we could have easily won the other 2 games, they've all been tight. Right now, let's push on again and keep using this sort of feeling to grab the next one and start really well the next match.
I think you definitely got them rattled, Mark. I mean, the invincibility they carried with them, the Australians, has gone. Like you said, when they dropped their heads with 11 to win, we've got to get that picture back in your head in 10 days' time. They've gone.
Oh, yeah, but you say that. And I heard the interview with Pat Cummins where he said, when they said the momentum maybe have switched towards England, he was like, no, we're 2-1 up. So he's still very much in the as you would obviously expect him to be. And all eyes is on July 19th when the Old Trafford test begins. But I wanted to just quickly get your thoughts on the Ashes series in 2027, because it's been obviously announced the venues that will stage those tests, and there'll be no Ashes tests north of Trent Bridge involved. So we won't get the drama of Headingley and potentially Old Trafford as well. How do you feel about that? Does that disappoint you a little bit?
Well, yeah, as a lad from the north, obviously, I love playing the north. Headingley has had some games. You think of the last series with Ben Stokes. This one was another great game. Old Trafford's an iconic place to play. Durham as well. I'd love to play there and play a game. I mean, it's probably going to be past me, but to see Test match cricket up in the north at Durham is always special as well. So, yeah, surprised. I understand obviously some of the reasons why, but surprised that there isn't at least one game up here, because I think we get great support, and it's iconic places to play. So a little bit disappointed just being from the north that there isn't one up here where you feel like you've got that extra backing and you can relate with people up here. So I'm sure that maybe in a couple of years' time they'll all be in the north and we can make up for it then.
Well, it would share it around a bit, wouldn't it? That would be nice.
Yeah.
I quickly wanted to ask, what do you do now? But are you on a rest period? How does this work for you?
Yeah, a couple of days off. Had a game of dinosaurs and back on the school run with my son, and then get back into things lightly with a bit of bowling, a bit of gym work, and prepare really for the weekend, which will be when we meet up in Manchester.
And what would this mean to you if you could win the Ashes with England? Would it mean more than winning the World Cup?
Well, it would certainly obviously be up there, given the situation of being 2-0 down, to come back and win 3-2 would be. I don't think there's going to be many draws this series. If I'm perfectly honest, I think the way that both teams play, there's going to be results. So it would be right up there if we could do this. I really feel like all eyes of the country on these games. So we've had fantastic support so far. Really felt it. The hype, everything around it feels like this could be an iconic series for some players. Ones that I remember. I've spoken to Harmy a lot, and he speaks about 2005, and everyone remembers that. I remember clear as day where I was at periods of that Test match series. So hopefully we can give the fans some moments like that and win the next two games, and then it'll be really, really remembered.
Yeah.
Mark, I've got the fastest all-time bowling speeds in front of me. 2003, Shalab Akhtar, 100.2 mile an hour.
Yep, Shalab Akhtar.
Sean Tate, 2010, 100.1. Brett Lee, 2005, 99.9. Do you think you can top that list?
Oh, go on, Mark.
Honestly, I don't. I think, to bowl that quickly. I mean, I'm already hitting the deck as it is with my bowling, so to bowl that quickly, I don't know what else I could do. But I'm always striving to get quicker. That's something I'm working hard at. But I think their numbers are freakishly high. So I'll give it everything I've got. I will try and reach those heights, but I think that might be just a bit too far.
Line and length, son. Line and length.
Fabulous, Mark. We so appreciate you taking the time out. What is during your rest period as well. So thank you, and
thanks,
congratulations
Mark,
on a fabulous third Test, and best of luck for the rest of the series.
Thanks for having us. Take care.
Remember, talkSPORT will keep you right across the next Ashes Test. The fourth begins next Wednesday. That is the 19th at Old Trafford. You will not miss any of the key moments with us here on talkSPORT.